Hello YouTube fam, how y'all doing? It's your Uncle Tim. This is Uncle Tim Rants and Reviews, the channel where I rant and I review. Man, I'm your host, Uncle Tim. It seems like I run into people who want to sell stuff but really don't want to sell stuff. Facebook Marketplace can be a great place to find things that you've been looking for, stuff that you cannot find on eBay, whatnot, or Amazon at good prices. Plus it's local. You could probably just meet them up somewhere and just get the stuff. How Facebook Marketplace works. They have pictures of the stuff. Usually they put zero or a dollar on there, just to get you to, request, prices and things like that. So I get to talking to the person. He has a thing of action figures, bro. It looks nice. He has a few totes of action figures. In a picture, you see all the figures that you can get. It's a little bit of everything. You got some Transformers, you got some G.I. Joe, you got some Marvel Legends. There's some other stuff in there that I'm not going to name, but as I'm looking at this little snippet of what it is to come that he wanted to show and all of that, I'm asking questions like, okay, when did you decide you wanted to sell? And, if you can, pictures only display certain things. They only could show like from various angles, of what's inside the tote. I said I would need to know what's in the totes, to know what am I paying for, what am I getting, what am I spending this money on. And I said, nowhere have you yet said how much you want for this stuff. I said, we got to be realistic. I need to know a price of what it is that you're looking for. A ballpark for, I to go in here. I said, because we can negotiate. Because I said, at the end of the day, it's about negotiation. So, this guy get to talking to me about, when he started to collect, what he liked about each piece, where he found some of the pieces at, and how, he displayed them, how he like cleaning them off on the shelf, and, how he looks at the collection, and, he's going through some hard times, and I understand that. I respect and I totally get it. And he said, he don't want to sell, but, in order to pay some things off, he has to. So he got to talking. So I was asking how much he wanted for it. And he was giving me a breakdown of what he wanted and, per tote and, how the situation will play itself out. So I'm listening, understanding, paying attention. I'm talking, just, observing the situation over the phone, realizing this man don't want to sell. He got me as a shrink on here, basically, talking about, he would love to have people to talk to about this stuff. I said, there are groups on Facebooks that you can join, to actually talk about this stuff. And he's like, oh, and stuff like that. And, man, and, he's hemming and hawing, man. I don't know what it is about these people on Facebook Marketplace, bro, that, the deal be looking too damn good, and all of a sudden, they changing their mind in the middle of the situation. I told him, I said, hey, maybe you want to take the listing down and reevaluate if you want to sell or not. I said, it's not, me trying to be funny. I said, right now, it don't sound like you want to sell. I said, you could always sell your plasma at these plasma donation places. I said, the first month, they give you like $500 for 4 times that, you sell plasma, right? Because shit, the signs every damn where, it's hard to miss them. I told him, I said, maybe you could do that. Maybe if that's what you need, maybe that could be the way to get you out of there. And he was like, damn, I didn't think about all that, because he didn't want to sell. I'm sitting here listening to this man talk, and, like I said, I'm just sitting here as a sponge, just listening to this guy's problems and every damn thing else, and I'm sitting here just wanting to buy your collection. Dude, I tell you over and over again, make sure this is something you want to do before you do it. If you want to sell your stuff, leave it like that. Sell it. If you don't want to sell it, you got to have pros and cons. Would you miss it? If I sold this shit right now, dude, I wouldn't be mad. Just sell it. If I needed money, bro, that's what it is. At the end of the day, I don't care what it is. You need some money, you'll work a deal out somehow. I'm not saying that everything is for sale. It's not. But you know what? When you need help, what do? You ask for it. Sometimes you ask people for ideas of how to do things, and they tell you. I gave him away. Shit, they got day labor. I was telling them all this stuff, bro. It's a lot of stuff you can do if you don't want to sell this. I was just getting a little irritated because, like, man, I just came from somebody with a situation like this. The study kept leading me on with this shit. Like, they kept going up on prices, and I'm like, man, the third time I was like, I'm done. With him, I'm like, I'm done already. I'm like, damn, man, it's like nobody want to do this. Because I was asking him how much he wanted, and he told me. And I told him, I said, when you want to do this? I'm asking this guy now when he wanted to do it. And he didn't know when he wanted to do it. I'm like, you need the money, but you don't know when you want to do it. I said, hey, man, look, you don't want to sell this. I said, is it possible that you can put the bill on your credit card or something like that? Or, get a loan from the bank? I'm just being honest, bro, because at this point, dude, you're on some shit, because you're not being serious right now. Dude, Facebook Marketplace is a good place to find stuff, man. It is. But when you looking at it, you get a lot of people who just want to talk. I was once selling laser discs that I had. I had 180 laser discs. I was selling them for $200. 180 laser discs for $200. It was a list of everything I had. All good shit. Horror, action, and every damn thing else. Some rom-com stuff. Some teen movies. Like Teen Wolf and, stuff like that. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Shit like that. I had some good stuff in there. And the guy was like, man, it don't really sound like you really got good stuff. I'm like, damn, this is like the hottest shit on Laserdisc. I'm like, and your price is too much. I'm like, that's 100. I said, man, look. I said, I don't think you serious. I said, it's 180 laser discs and I'm asking $200. Bro, that ain't the crackhead prices. I was just trying to get rid of them because I had nowhere to put them anymore. And plus, I had already sold the laser disc player. So I'm just giving a blowout deal, man. And I'm like, damn. This is what I talk about, man. This is why I say a lot of people, you can have a good deal and you trying to sell the stuff. People ain't trying to do it. Like I said again, people are out here playing with you on shit, trying to play like they trying to get you on a deal. Man, look, I learned a lesson, a very valuable lesson. Get the fuck out of here with all this stuff, man. If you're not serious, go sit your ass down. Don't waste people's time trying to get some attention. And that's what it seemed like. It's so many people out here trying to get some attention that, they're willing to waste other people. Oh, man, I'm going to sell this and this is what I'm trying to get. And I'm like, bro, you ain't trying to sell. Anybody trying to sell some shit, bro, it is what it is. Like I said, the stuff that you have, it could be some toys that you love. But if you need that money, bro, it is what it is. If I'm about to get thrown out, my rent need to be due, and I ain't got no money, bro, come on, make it make sense. This shit'll get sold. I don't understand people like, I'm not selling my stuff, man. Then that stuff gonna be outside with you. And most likely people gonna steal it. That's just the way it works. I don't give a damn where you at. When it's sitting outside, people start going through shit. Bro, this is why I say you really need to pay attention. If you want to sell your stuff, have a set price. Make sure you're willing to negotiate and stuff like that. But don't waste people's time. Man, it's just like, these are 2 deals already that it just felt like my whole just aura was wasted on, oh man, this and this. Man, I'm looking at it, trying to make it make sense, bro. But for the most part, none of this stuff makes sense. Because, it didn't make sense going in, man. Just a whole bunch of BS, bro. But like I said, man, It's always some crazy shit happening, man. It's always somebody wanting your attention. Man, sometimes you just gotta get it to them, man. But I just wanted to make sure I tell y'all this. And, people are like, man, because it don't seem like you try to buy toys or anything, man. It's like people don't want to sell them. They put it out there, then they don't want to sell it. They tell you they know what they got. The prices are firm. And I'm like, okay, when can I come get it? How you want it? Do you want PayPal, Zelle, Cash App, Venmo, or cash? I said, if we doing cash, I told this guy, I said, if we doing cash, police station. He asked the same damn question, like, why the police station? I said, I don't know you. Bro, I'm being realistic. I don't know you. I don't know what you planning or what you got in mind, because right now you give me the runaround and I'm sitting here like saying, damn, bro, this shit is crazy as hell. But to later, fam, thank you for watching. Peace out.